Hey everyone, watch Kennedy. He starts to share about this nominee and her record as a judge. It's amazing, her lack of response. Check it out.
You have more sympathy for the criminal than the victim, don't you?
Senator, I worked on behalf of victims of crime zealously as a prosecutor. As a judge, I listened carefully to understand impact on victims, and I have always take that into account.
Do you know Micah Smith?
Michael Smith, Senator?
Micah, M-I-C-H.
I don't believe I know a Micah Smith, Senator, no.
Okay. I bet the victims of Micah Smith remember Micah Smith if you don't.
Senator, there was a defendant I sentenced named Michael Smith.
Mr. Smith molested a 4-year-old girl, didn't he?
Senator, he was convicted after trial of unlawful sexual contact under Maine law.
That's a nice way of putting it.
That was the charge, Senator.
Right. Mr. Smith molested a 9-year-old girl, didn't he?
Senator, again, he was convicted of unlawful sexual contact against 2 children. In that case, I did impose the sentence the state requested.
At oral argument, this is how Mr. Smith's conduct was described. Quote, you heard this testimony. All of the abuse is done in the same fashion. Smith would rub his fingers in a circular motion on the vagina of each child, and he did so repeatedly. Now, where I come from, we call that sexual abuse. You can pretty it up all you want to, Judge. This is what you said at Mr. Micah's sentencing. These are your words, not mine. What I can say, you said, is that this is a very tragic situation of a person who has a lot of good in him. A lot of good in him. Having done a very reprehensible thing to 2 young children causing extreme damage. Did I read that correctly?
Senator, in that case, I imposed the sentence the state requested.
Did I read that, your quotation correctly?
Senator, that I think is a portion of what I said at sentencing. My focus was on...
But the words I read, are they correct?
That's what was reported in the paper, Senator. I have not seen a transcript of the sentencing.
I bet the victims remember, Judge. You might have forgotten, just like you forgot his name. But I bet the victims remember. And then you handed down a sentence. You gave Mr. Smith 12 years, but you suspended 6 of them, didn't you?
Senator, that was at the recommendation of the state because
but it was your ruling. Did you? Is that an accurate statement of your ruling?
Senator, I accepted the state's recommendation that 6 years should be suspended so that Mr. Smith would be required to participate in sex offender treatment.
I appreciate the lengthy explanation, but I think it's a pretty simple question. That was your sentence, right?
Yes, I imposed the sentence the state requested in that case.
Are you familiar with the Bangor Daily News?
I am the Bangor Daily News, Senator.
Right. Did you read the article they wrote, quote, light sentences send a message that domestic violence does not matter, end quote. You remember that article?
I have read it, Senator. I believe it mischaracterizes a case that is
article was about you, wasn't it?
My recollection, Senator, is that it described several different cases. The case that I worked on that was described there, the defendant in that case was acquitted by a jury of the most serious conduct, and that was not reflected in that article. And so
the newspaper got it wrong.
That was an op-ed that I believe misunderstood what happened, which is the jury acquitted the defendant of the most serious conduct that he was charged with. I was not the fact finder in that case, and so at sentencing I was bound by the jury's verdict.
Let me ask you, I'm going to run out of time here. I wish I had more time for you, Ms. Campbell, but I've seen a a lot of activist judges. And I'm not saying you're the most activist, but the list you're on, it sure doesn't take long to call the roll.
All right, this judge is sick. For her to give a ruling starting off by saying that this person has a lot of good in him, you've got to be kidding. That is just like, I got nauseous when I heard her say that. That means that she is not even thinking and taking any consideration of what those girls, those young girls, the horrific experience that those young girls went through. She is on the side of the person who committed the crime, this awful man who did this to these girls. For her to say that there's a lot of good, oh my God, like I can't even say the whole thing. It makes me sick. And after the 12 years that was given to him, she erases 6 of the years. I mean, Kennedy is right. When judges like this say these things at the hearing and take away half their sentences, it's showing people who commit these kind of crimes or any crimes that there's no accountability. It's opening the door for more people and more crime, for more guys to do this to young girls. I mean, when I think about it, I'm like, what if this judge, if she has girls, children, daughters, what if it happened to them? And if she doesn't have kids, what if it happened to her niece? I mean, come on. What the heck is this judge being either paid on the side or being prompted up to be reelected? I don't know. What the heck is she getting to even have the audacity to say that after the horrific things this guy did repeatedly, the same motive, the same thing to these girls? How can any judge start her phrase off by saying that? There's a lot of good in this guy. What? And then take away 6 of the 12 years of the sentencings. What the heck? I mean, it's beyond ridiculous.